Hey, welcome back. This is Laker Nation, and we are here for SMSU Art Class Art 270 Summer School version. that really came out weird. We are going to use how to use the Draw in 3D book. So the plan is that you are now going to learn some drawing skills. You're going to learn how to use different drawing media. So the art. One of the art standards for the state of Minnesota is that the students need to make art in a variety of media. So first off, you learned how to draw with just a regular pencil. I've talked about how to use different drawing pencils, different varieties of pencils from an H to an HB and then to a 6B or higher. There are also drawing techniques that involve charcoal, and I have varieties of charcoal sitting here. There's this variety, which is compressed stick charcoal. There is charcoal that comes in a stick or a pencil. There is charcoal that comes in, this is Conte, red Conte. So we're going to learn how to draw with that. We're also going to learn about drawing with a Precise V7 pen. We're also going to learn to draw with a Sharpie and how those all make a difference and why they're different and the tools. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this book at different times. So I think one of the reading assignments is to draw a chapter, to read chapters 1 and 2. And he'll go through talking about why to use this book, the goal of this book, supplies that you'll need with this book. And then he goes through, and on chapter 2 and 3, he has 12 Renaissance words of drawing in 3D. These are good words to get to know: foreshortening, placement, size, overlapping, shading, shadow. These are good art terms. Now, then he's going to have 22 augmenting art accents that he's going to talk about, things that you can do. By the time you get to chapter 6 is going to be all about, wow. No, chapter 5 is the directory. Sorry about that. Chapter 6 is actually those lessons. So, and it'll tell you what page they're on. So drawing lessons start with how to do lettering style. When we do Mark Kistler drawings, we don't use the letters. We are going to use the drawings: Amazing Ants, Ant-Man, Apple Appetite, Ascending Achievement, Asteroid Astronauts. And then next, the second time you draw from the book, you'll be using letter B or any word that you want to, letter that you want to from that point out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take Jiggling Jellyfish, and I'm just going to demonstrate how this works. All right, so I'm going to turn my camera so that we can see. All right, now here is my drawing piece of paper. Now, things to remember in drawing this way. 1, we want to fill the page. Okay. 2, we want to tell a story. 3, use 4 values. And then number 4, sign it. Now, what this means is if you're proud of your work, you're willing to sign it. Using 4 values is related to the assignment that we did earlier, where we used hatching, and we created a value scale that was repetitive. It went horizontal, vertical, diagonal, diagonal, and that was 4. The first value is really light. White is a highlight only. Notice in this picture of the cube, the foreshortened square. That is the only place that there's light. There's only light there. The sky has a sky arch. My whole picture has value. This is a drawing from the Mark Kistler book, and this his webpage, and this is how to do a like a old town crier would use, and this is a rolled piece of parchment. Okay, notice that we used value and only certain spots have white. Okay, this is a color version of the flying hippopotamus that he makes, and that we only use white in selected spots. It's not leave lots of white on your page. So those are all things and techniques. Here's another example. This one's not done yet, but this is an example from the Mark Kistler. This isn't the book, but this is the web page, where he uses the foreshortened cube to make a southwestern mesa. So again, reminder, when we do these drawings, we want to fill the page, which means completely fill the page, tell a story, make the picture interesting, use 4 values, sign it. Okay, so over here, I'm going to start by, I'm going to create a border. I think it makes the drawing look much more professional. All right. So now I look at Jiggling Jellyfish right here, and it says in number 1, I create 2 dots. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put 2 dots. Notice I'm not leaving a lot of space outside of those 2 dots. The next thing it says to do is draw a foreshortened circle. Now I'm going to make a smiley face, and it's not going to be a big, deep smiley face like this. It's going to be a flat smiley face. So it's going to look more like that, not like that. So this one, yes. This one, no. Okay? Now, I'm going to repeat that same shape, but I tell the students that this is a frown face. And it creates a circle that looks like this. All right? Now, that's my foreshortened circle. That's a circle on its side. So when I look at a circle and I see it like this, now when I turn it this way, this is a foreshortened circle. All right, so now from there it says I'm going to draw a giant letter U over the top. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to draw a U over the top. Now I got to put eyeballs on here, so I didn't want to go all the way to the top. All right, next step, I'm going to put my eyeballs. My eyeballs go here. He's facing this direction. So I'm going to draw it over the line, a circle. Then I'm going to draw smaller, and it's going to go not as low as this, but it's going to go lower, and it's going to go here. I'm going to draw a backwards letter C. Now, if you imagine, this was another circle drawn right there. Okay, so you could draw a circle and then just erase that out. Okay, now he's going to also make 2 tendrils, one that comes down and goes like this. And I don't necessarily follow him here. I just make my tendrils the way I want to make it. All right, now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to erase out the inside of this. I am going to put a pupil. I'm going to draw another circle. And Mr. Kistler always says that you leave a circle on the inside because your eye is wet and there's always a spot for the light to shine. It makes it more believable, and it looks better. All right, so now I'm going to add some eyelashes, and they're just curves. I add them to both eyes. They just help to make the eye. Now, he puts some wrinkles, and you could actually, if you wanted, you could actually erase out, and you wanted to get fancier than Mr. Kistler, you could actually make your wrinkle go like that there. Okay, now, he makes 2 more lines, but first he thickens these. So I'm going to make this one thicker, and I'm going to make this one thicker. Okay, so now he adds 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to add more probably. I'm going to bring this one over, and it's going to overlap these guys, and I'm going to make it thick right away. I'm going to make another one that comes down. I'm going to put it under, and it's going to go all the way over. And I'm going to erase some lines, so that's why I drew them the way I drew them. This one's going to go off the page. Okay, so I've got 5 right now. I could add more. He adds a whole bunch. He also now adds little bubbles. So your story could be that this jiggling jellyfish farted. Kids would love that. Now, as I'm putting these circles up, I could do something called overlap, and I could overlap there and there. And that's how we made our pupils, was with overlap. Overlap helps 3D, and it makes things look like they are foreground and background. See, now by putting this guy here and this one here, and I overlap this one, I now create this whole sense of 3D-ness. Now, I could bring these down, and I could go right there, so they look like they're coming the bubbles are coming out of him. All right, now I've got some lines to erase. I'm going to erase those. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to erase here. I'm going to erase here. I'm going to erase here. Anywhere I have a line crossing that I don't want it to cross, I'm going to erase. All right, so I could add more. The other thing I could do now is I've filled my page. Now I could tell my story. So I'm going to draw another one right here. I could draw another one down here. It could be like there's a great big migration of jiggling jellyfish. Okay, now I could put another one right. See what happens when I do this? I fill my space, and my space becomes, now I don't have a lot of empty space. Okay, now I could make a line like this, and we could perceive that as maybe there's a stream in the water, a current. I can erase that. And that's the current that's in the water. All right. Now, next thing I have to do is I've told my story. My story's pretty simple. It's not complicated, but I filled my page with things and put other things in it. I could put a pirate ship back here. I could put a scuba diver. I could put a shark. I could put a fish even. I could add more tails so there's more space to fill. Now, first thing I want to do is think about my four values. If I don't want this to be, I want it to stand off the background, the simplest thing I could do is just add a value across the back. Okay, so now this is where I have to think. How am I going to complete this picture? How am I going to incorporate the four values so that, and this is probably, in my opinion, the simplest way, is because it's underwater, it's hard to see. It's not very bright underwater. So background should be somewhat dark, okay? So I'm going to shade in, and I just want you to see what this looks like. I'm going to pause it, and then you'll get to see it when it's complete here in a moment. Okay, notice I shaded right over these. They're going to be further in the distance, so I'm not going to see them. So I'm just going to go ahead and shade over them. Now, the inside of his area here was darker. There's also like a little rim that goes right here, and there's a little rim there that signifies that. So I'm going to make that darker. I'm going to crosshatch that and make it the darkest area. Now, because that rim is there, I'm going to first erase out, what do I do with my eraser? I'm going to erase out those lines just to make sure they're gone. Then I'm going to make that rim, it's not going to be as dark, but it will be near dark. And notice how I'm adding my layers, just like I talked about before. Now I'm going to crosshatch it. And by doing those other ones first, now the inside of that is really dark. All right, now I can imagine my light source coming from this side, so he's going to get a area that's going to follow. Notice the curve follows, and that's going to be he's going to be in partial shadow. And then that's my core shadow, so I'm going to make my core shadow a little darker. And then because my eyes are in that shadow, I'm going to make them a little darker. I'm going to put a little bit over, so then I get a little blend, little reflected light. I could put a little bit there. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to do the same on this one. This one's going to get a shadow too. Now, as these guys come out, they're going to be shadowed. And then there's going to be some spots that are going to get white, but I didn't go that there. I'm going to go, he's going to be shadowed to there, and then that's going to be lighter because it's closer to the light. I could make this guy darker. So this is how I'm going to finish this up, is I'm just going to keep going until this is done. Now, I'm going to keep adding value, and the further away this gets, the better it'll be. Now, one thing I want you to think about that I haven't talked about yet is I can take a piece of tape, and what I should do, or just hang up your artwork. So, for example, I'm going to put that tape on there. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it on my wall over here. You could just hang up your drawing pad, and notice now my picture is farther away from me. So when I'm looking at it here, I look, and now when I look at it from a distance, I can see all the areas that are potentially wrong. So I might not notice some things, but if you notice, this guy really starts to stand out now. So I could make this sharper and darker, and he'll pop off the page more. I can see where my mistakes are and where my mistakes aren't when I do this technique. So I call this getting a new perspective. So it's a technique that we learn to look at something with a different pair of eyes, a more objective pair of eyes than the eyes we were looking at it with originally. So I'm going to keep adding some shadow and make this guy darker. And I'm going to stop the video here just because this will be your chance now. You should have an understanding of what I'm looking for. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to sign it after you clean it up. And that'll be, that's the jiggling jellyfish from the letter J. Now, I can go into more detail, but I'm just trying to keep the video short right now.